Mali is a landlocked country located in West Africa. Mali fell under French colonial rule in 1892 and was once part of the French Sudan. The region of Azawad was also conquered by the French, and its borders have changed numerous times throughout the past few decades. In 1923, France officially made Azawad part of Mali despite strong opposition from the nomadic Tuareg people that inhabit the region. In 1958, the French Sudan obtained internal autonomy, and the territory became an autonomous state within the French community, known as the Sudanese Republic. It joined with Senegal in 1959 to form the Mali Federation. In 1960, Senegal withdrew from the Mali Federation, and this allowed the Sudanese Republic to become the independent nation of Mali in September of 1960. After Mali gained independence in the 1960s, the Tuareg people rebelled for independence of their region, and despite their unsuccessful attempt, they rebelled again in the 1990s and in 2007. In 2012, a steady collapse of state control over the north of Mali was followed by a military coup and French military intervention against Islamic fighters who threatened to advance to the south. Although civilian rule was re-established in the summer of 2013, a truce with the Tuareg separatists broke down and fighting began a year later. The Tuareg people have consistently wanted regional independence in pursuit of gaining their own country, and political instability has aided their rebellion efforts. This conflict has been prompted by restrictive land policies from the Malian government towards the Tuaregs and state-authorized repression. As a result, these once migrant people have become an exploited workforce in northern Africa. The Tuareg people have faced difficult economic times prompted by regional droughts, and they've received little help from the Malian government. They have also been subjected to poor political and military representation. There have been security concerns over the exploitation of the current situation in Mali by radical Islamic groups for economic and religious gain. According to genocidewatch.org, since January 17, 2012, the National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad has conquered many small villages in northern Mali, and during the Tuareg conquest, they committed brutal ethnic massacres and summary executions. There have also been reports of incidents of mob lynching and looting of properties belonging to Arab and Tuareg communities, who have reportedly been accused of supporting armed groups based on their ethnicity. The Rome Statute sets out all of the crimes falling within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, as well as the rules of procedure and the mechanisms for states to cooperate with the ICC. According to genocidewatch.org, on January 24, 2012, the National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad recaptured a town in Mali and executed 82 prisoners from the Malian army. These summary executions are war crimes under both the Geneva Convention and the Rome Statute of the ICC. The conflict in Mali can be best described as a genocide because it also meets two of the provisions of the definition of genocide according to Article 2 of the UN Convention.
Renegade soldiers in Mali claim to have seized control of the African country in a declaration on state TV. The mutineers, who referred to themselves as the National Committee for the Restoration of Democracy and State, cited the failure of the government to put down a separatist rebellion in the north as their motive.
Sayati kulula isada mala malo manye kodia Yande wili ton terila sila malune wili ton terila. Ne kuma ton terima jula delu ne kuma ton terima. Wi konde kambe joni luma sayati kulula mbali manyumalo joni kunandi lolo yebola Kodia ye bana sila malun kodia ye bana. Kodia ye bana jula delun kodia ye bana. Sukaro foro filile sununguna. Kodia ye bana mbali manjmalo. Sayabani solontoma. Iyala. Ne bolo bengwaye jula delu ne bolo bengwaye. Ne bolo bengwaye mali delu ne bolo bengwaye. Wi saraka fuate na kansala. Jonkana jonkoninya mbali manjmalo. Kone nale.
The violence and conflict in Mali has attracted international attention and concern. To combat the current issues the country is facing, the UN has dispatched peacekeepers to help alleviate the situation. According to the Better World campaign, on April 25, 2013, the United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 2100, establishing the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali to help stabilize northern Mali and assist the country's transitional authorities.
Sayati kulula julalu wengo sayati kulula isada mala malo mani kodia yebana.
We call it Planet Mars. The French have been marching in this unforgiving landscape for weeks. Each soldier carries more than 50 kilos, and under their boots the rocks are as jagged and as sharp as glass. It's relentless, it is unremitting. There is no respite here, and by 60 degrees Celsius the dark stones become as hot as burning coals. Nearly 2,000 French soldiers are deployed all over this rocky desert, with as many troops from Chad in support. All engaged in the fiercest fighting last month, inflicting heavy casualties on the insurgents, including one of the most violent Al-Qaeda field commanders, Abu Zaid.
We try to spot it.
In mutual agreements with the Malian government, the ICC could prosecute on terms of murder constituting a war crime, torture, and rape in addition to other crimes. Ultimately, the Tuareg rebellion was a chaotic time for the state of Mali, and while the international community's involvement has hindered the efforts to end the crisis, its presence is essential in ending conflict.
There was not an incitement to genocide in this situation, because internal frustration among the Tuaregs motivated their rebellions and acts of violence against the government as well as southern Malians, instead of a traditional incitement to genocide that would require the encouragement or persuasion of others. The leaders of the Tuareg rebellion, as well as members of of extreme Islamic groups that have been working with the Tuaregs in order to promote chaos should face punishment similar to that of those responsible for the Bosnian genocide. However, unlike the ICC's decision to rule that Serbia was not responsible for the Bosnian genocide, the court should find Mali responsible for prompting this violent situation. Despite the absence of an incitement to genocide, the Tuaregs and the Malian government bear responsibility for the ongoing violence overtaking Mali. The ICC has an ongoing investigation into the war crimes within Mali, and in order to permanently end the conflict, the Malian government should legally recognize Azawad as an independent country, not just a breakaway state, and develop legislation that will be inclusive of all minority groups within Mali.